Most people don't fail because they lack dreams. They actually fail because they lack standards. Dreams are emotional. Standards are operational. Dreams say, this is what I want, while standards says, I can only accept this as my minimum. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Life does not respond to your wishes. Life actually responds to your standards. So today we are not attacking your ambition, your wishes, or your dreams. We are actually inspecting standards because in it lies the sustainability that your life requires. But what does it actually mean when someone says, I have standards? It actually means that you have personal set of values, of beliefs and behaviors that act as a blueprint for how you live your life, the things that you accept and how you behave. It is actually a conscious decision to establish a minimum level of quality, of habits or relationship or your self-treatment, rather than accepting or settling for every kind of mediocrity that life throws at you. Now, I want to share with you 4 areas of your life that lack of standard is sabotaging quietly without your knowledge. The very first one is your emotional life. When you lack standard in your emotional life, you will be driven by moods. Have you met such persons that every time you tell them about something, they tell you, I'm not in the mood. I am not in the mood. You could actually be that person, right? I used to have a colleague of mine in the office. For anything you tell her to do, she tells you, I'm not in the mood. Every time she's not in the mood. One of the days, I approached her and I told her, sit down. Do you know that not being in the mood is an action of someone who is possessed? Oh, she got inflamed and said, how would you say I'm possessed? I'm not possessed. I said, no, I'm not talking of by evil spirit. No, you are actually possessed by lack of standards. So you see people that when they wake up tired, they cancel their plans for the day. When they feel unmotivated, they postpone everything that they have. When they are offended, they withdraw both from life, from relationship and everything. To those people, their mood have become their standards. And when someone doesn't have standards, it means that the emotion is what dictates the direction of their lives. And you know that feelings actually feels very unstable. So today you're feeling excited, the next day you're feeling very unmotivated. A person without emotional standards says, I will act when I feel right. But someone who has emotional standard will say, I will act because it is right. Now, what is the difference between these two kinds of persons? It is stability. When your emotional life has no standard, you will react impulsively, you will quit prematurely, you will apologize over and over again because of your inconsistencies. But when you have emotional standards, it actually says that you don't make decisions when you're angry. You finish anything that you start. You don't respond, you react. Now, without emotional standards, life becomes unpredictable. And if life becomes unpredictable, guess what? Your success, your improvement in life would also be unpredictable. The second part of your life that is quietly destroyed by lack of standard, even without your knowledge, is your relationship. And what it makes happen to you is that you begin to tolerate misalignment and mismanagement of a relationship. So you're in a relationship where the guy cancels on dates repeatedly. You're in a relationship where the lady does not communicate except when she wants money from you. You're in a relationship where disrespect of boundary happens over and over again. You say, I don't want this, but that person keeps pushing the boundary. And guess what? You keep tolerating it. Not because you feel good about it, but because you don't want to be alone. Now, when there is no emotional standard, comfort replaces compatibility. Then you start saying things like, it's not that bad now, or maybe I'm the one that is expecting too much, or I think he's trying. That becomes your report simply because you do not have standards for your relationship. But what you tolerate today becomes your reality. That's why a lot of persons get into relationship and even drive it all the way to marriage, only for them to separate and say irreconcilable differences. Why? Because they tolerated certain things and it became their reality. And when they couldn't take it anymore, they want to bail out. Now, standard in relationship looks like, I don't settle for a relationship that doesn't have a purpose. You can't just say, let's be going out, let's be going out. No. Where are we going to? Where are we headed? I don't normalize disrespect in relationship. That's what standard says. I don't stay in a relationship where efforts are one-sided. Because if you stay in that kind of relationship, you will normalize it as your reality. It becomes how life treats you. Now, without standards, you don't choose intentionally. You accept anything and everything. And that kind of acceptance will begin to breed dissatisfaction inside of you. Now, the third thing that becomes destroyed very subtly by your lack of standard is your career and your income. And how it shows is that you accept underperformance from yourself. Now, you know that you need to improve your skills. It is very obvious that you need to be more competent. You know that you need your output to increase. Why? Because it is average today. But you explain it away because average feels very safe. So because of that, you don't adjust your performance. You actually adjust your expectation. What does that mean? You don't go up with your performance to perform better. Instead, you bring down your expectation to the level of your performance. Now, a person without professional standards will say things like, it is the market that is causing it. That is why I'm not progressing. Our country is bad. I don't know why things are so rough in this country. But the truth is that income does not respond to your desire. No, it rises to the standard that you set. Those non-negotiable times that you set for yourself. It might look painful at the beginning. Why? Because your brain is actually created for your comfort. I'm sure you should know that now. Your brain is there for your comfort, not for your success. So your brain doesn't want anything that will stress you. But when you set standards for yourself, you know what you're doing? You are training your brain to begin to accept responsibility and begin to shift from focus on comfort to focus on success. Your brain is trainable. So those ones that say, this is how I am, this is who I am, I can't change it. All you're suffering is lack of standards. If you have standards, you will see that your life will rise to that point. Now, when you have professional standards, the things that will happen is that you will decide in yourself that you will improve on your craft daily, weekly, monthly. There will be no day that will pass without you learning a new thing to add to your life and to your career. That is what standard says. Now, if you have standard in your life, you will track your performance. When you have standard, you will decide never to deliver mediocrity to anyone. If it is not excellent, you are not delivering. No excuses, nothing. You won't accept excuses from yourself. Now, without standards, underperformance will become normal. And anything that becomes normal in your life will naturally become permanent. The question is, are you realizing where lack of standard is beginning to affect your life and is causing you to stagnate in some areas? Now, the fourth place or area that your life is actually being affected because of lack of standard is in your personal discipline. And what does it do? It begins to manifest in procrastination, in becoming addicted to comfort. So you set goals, you feel very excited, but all of a sudden, that natural thing that happens to everybody happens to you. Comfort begins to call you back. Because of that, instead of waking up by 5 o'clock, which is the standard you set for yourself, you wake up by 6:30 because you wanted to sleep longer. Instead of spending 15 minutes on social media just to gather points of what is happening and know the things that you need to know, you stay there and keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for hours. Lack of standard. Instead of you making a quick decision now, you delay your decision and then you procrastinate and say, let's leave it to tomorrow. Or you say things like, when we get to the river, we will cross it. That is a sign of lack of standards. The things that you postpone to tomorrow, the truth is that you will also postpone them to next week, and you postpone them to next month, and you keep postponing them. And before you know it, you are not able to do anything about it again. The absence of discipline and the standard in your discipline makes you make comfort powerful. So comfort becomes the one that dictates your life. Anything that is not comfortable, you don't want it. I'm sure you've seen those people, or you are one of them. I used to be also. People that will say, I don't want anything that will stress me. I don't want anything that will stress my life. But can I tell you something? It is never easy until it's first hard. It is always hard first before it becomes easy. You know why? Because that thing you call hard is not actually hard. It's simply unfamiliar. Yeah? Now, you've never driven before. So they tell you that when you're driving, that you need to hold the steering and then you're turning it. As you're turning it, you're putting on your indicator. As you're doing that, you are matching the pedal to hold the brake. And as you're doing that, you're doing complex things at the same time. And the next thing you say is, this thing is hard. It's not hard. The only thing is that it is unfamiliar. The more you do it over and over and over and over again, you familiarize yourself with it, and then it becomes easier. So the truth is that nothing is actually hard. Everything that you've not faced before is simply unfamiliar. They are not hard. If you are able to train yourself with that standard, then you will be able to make up your mind to discipline yourself to show up even when you don't want to. So standard in personal discipline sounds like, I will wake up at when planned. I'm not going to stay 1 minute more than when the alarm clock rings. I am going to execute before entertainment. Standard the discipline says it must be business before pleasure. That becomes your mantra. You must keep the promises that you've made to yourself. I am not going to do things like this again. You don't renege and start doing it again and then excuse it for something else. You stay at it. Now, without discipline standards, you will build a life based on ease, not growth. And I'm sure you know that ease rarely builds anything excellent. It will only give you mediocre things. So let's tie this thing together. You find out in your life that your emotions is what is driving your life, so it's mood driven. Or you find out that you're in a misaligned relationship, or that you're underperforming in your career or your business, or you find out that you are addicted to comfort. And you are saying, how do all these things come together? They have one root, and that one root is unstable standards. Now, if you don't consciously set standards, your environment would naturally set standards for you. And can I tell you the truth? There is no way your environment will set a high standard for you. No. It will always set a lower one for you. Right? So your friends will normalize things around you. Your workplace will normalize things around you. Your culture will normalize things around you. And slowly, guess what happens? Because you have dropped your standard, they will call you to a lower place. Then you drop it some more. They call you to a lower place. You see yourself adjusting your standards downwards. Now, standards are not arrogant. They are just about alignment. They are about decisions. This is who I am becoming, and this is the things I will no longer accept. That is standard. And that is how life should be. So, in closing up this, you cannot build a stable life on unstable standards. I say that again. You cannot demand excellence from others and tolerate mediocrity from yourself. I'm sure you know people like that. They are mediocre, they are ordinary, but at every point they are pointing out that you are mediocre in this thing and in the other thing. You cannot rise above the things that you secretly allow into your life. When you come outside, it's as if you're maintaining standard, but inside, you and I know that you're not maintaining the standards. So today, Don't set new goals. You have enough goals already. Set new standards for yourself in your relationship, in your career, in your personal discipline, and everything around your life. Let there be do's and don'ts that govern your life. Now you will say, this will not make me begin to act like a robot. No. It doesn't, because your emotions are still there. So you set it for yourself, and when you see your brain has been trained to get to that point, it becomes normal for you. It will not be robotic in any way. So make decision and tell yourself that my emotions must be regulated. You must tell yourself what your behavior can no longer tolerate. You must tell yourself what level of excellence and performance that you require of yourself. You must tell yourself the behaviors and the habits that are non-negotiable. You must have to stick to it no matter how you feel, because standards will shape your identity. Your identity will shape your decisions. Your decisions will shape your destiny. If you don't rise in your standards, you cannot expect life to accidentally just rise. It doesn't happen like that. There must be something that shifts for your life to shift. Standard is quiet, but is very, very powerful. Let me leave you with this. If you set your standard today, the next thing you would realize and notice is that your whole life will begin to readjust and reorganize to come up to the level of the standards you have set for yourself. This has been Ace with Okwi, the Wealth Maestro, and I'm glad that you were able to join me today. Ensure to follow me on all social media platforms at Okwi W Maestro. That is actually the handle where we can interact. You can ask questions, and then we get to learn from each other. Why? Because we are purely out here to achieve clear excellence. God bless you.